Any surprises on? I know you mentioned the pilot being unfortunately killed during a faulty canopy, but
well, that was after the war.
After the war,
yeah, he went back into the service, and he was training on a fighter plane, you know, and he had to bail out. And by doing that, canopy was supposed to shoot up and get out of the way. He hit the button and the canopy was still there. So, and you know those things when they shoot you out, they'd shoot. You had to clear the plane. So
yeah, it's a rocket.
So we did. He's the only one that I know of now that we have lost. You know.
As far as the occupation, lifestyles, and such, the people that you knew and spent all that time with, was there any surprises on the individuals, kind of doing something weird or quirky or anything?
Well, the only one that I had was was old Dudley. When he came back, he became a school teacher.
Really?
Which, you know, his actions wasn't that tight.
I take it he was
but
definitely
he's a good school teacher, I guess, because I still send them all a card every year.
Really?
And make contact with them, and
still all around though, huh?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Except the pilot, you know. I didn't know he was gone for several years, and I kept sending the card, and finally his father wrote me and told me that what had happened.
Oh. When you got back, there wasn't any interest in staying in the service or anything?
No, they tried to get me to stay in, and I said, see that ruptured duck?
Yeah.
I said, it's going out with me. I'm going out of here.
Yeah.
I did no part of it.
Where were you injured?
I was. The ruptured duck was that you had finished your missions and you was ready to go out of the service.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you smiling, the whole world smiles with you, baby. Yes, when you laughing.
When you'd come back and you found out that you were going to be a father, what was that? What was some of the thoughts and experience? What do you remember the kind of the whole all of a sudden you guess what type thing? Or?
Well, Doris and I had tried, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to the doctor, and he checked me over and said that, well, you should be able to. I think he gave me some medicine or something anyway. And then she finally got pregnant. And
wow.
And, we were just, both of us were thrilled, you know, so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been that way, it was that way all the way through, so.
So when you, back then, that the fathers weren't allowed in the delivery room or anything.
No, not in the delivery room, but then I was I was waiting out there, yeah. And then as soon as they put her in that basket, and I went in to see, and went to see. Of course, I went to see her right away too, so see if she's all right. Yeah. So.
What was that like? Do you recall any kind of funny stories about mom being a kid or anything?
Yeah. It was nice. I mean, I never thought about it as any other way, you know. Just like when you guys were born, you know. So that was a joy. Or something.
So when she was a toddler, or when you guys first brought her home from the hospital, did you guys?
Well, yeah, we had a room all made up for her and everything. So yeah.
Did you guys ever attempt to have a second child, or?
We tried, but I had cancer, and so I had.
I didn't know that. What?
A lip cancer.
Oh wow.
And I had about 30 X-ray treatments, and that just fixed me up, you know. So.
Okay.
And then from there on, we enjoyed life with Carol. And Carol and I was a good buddy too. So.
Did you ever harass any of her boyfriends coming in to pick her up or anything?
Sometimes I said, I want her in here by a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not here, I'll be out there waiting for you. So. But they knew what I meant, you know. So.
Sure.
Because there's a couple of times where I'd come out and she'd come home, they'd come home later, and I'd meet them at the door.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, if you can't do better than this, that's it. So, but I was strict, I guess.
Strict or
but you know that when Carol got married, she came up to me and thanked me for being so strict with her.
How'd that make you feel?
Very good. Very good. I came back I did work at several places, you know, and then all of a sudden I had an opportunity to have a milk route.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought me a milk route. I got into that, and I had that milk route for, I don't know, for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
I'd done real well at it. But then I got tired of that, and I went into electronics place and designers, and then
really?
And I worked as a designer for.
That was kind of a big step.
Big step,
difference. What
did
you?
I of course I went to night school in Pasadena City College for I don't know, one season I guess, and then I got me this other job, you know, as a designer, and I worked as a designer for I don't know, a number of years. Well, I worked for Perkin-Elmer last, and before I worked at Radiophone.
I remember as a kid, mother would bring us over to pick you up, pick you up from Perkin-Elmer, and you talked a little bit about some of the stuff that you designed and helped design and so forth.
Yeah, I worked on this.
Space shuttle.
I worked on a space shuttle, and I worked on these. Several jobs that there was really nice, you know, so they're quite a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed my work. I really enjoyed it. And then when a lot of years went by in the meantime, you know, and Doris and I, of course we were married, and then we had Carol was born, and
well, I wanted to ask you a little bit about. I know you grew up in the Texas Panhandle, and then you moved to Kansas.
Yeah, well, there was nothing going on in the Panhandle at the time,
right.
And so
there's not much going on there now.
No. So anyway, we got decided, well, we could go to Wichita, you know, and go to work for in the aircraft.
Was it just you, or was it your brother?
My brother, both brothers, yeah. And my parents even moved to Wichita then, yeah.
Okay. What do you being kind of? Was it your parents that came from Germany?
No, my grandparents came from Germany. Yeah,
so
my parents lived in Kansas.
In Kansas.
Yeah, okay. And they was on a farm there.
Okay.
But then they moved to Montana, and that's where I was born then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What were they kind of doing in Montana? What was
it was like farming, you know.
Farming.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't go so well there, so we packed up and we came to Texas.
They couldn't grow things, or?
Oh, I don't know. I was so young. Yeah, I was a baby then when we came to Texas. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I know that. So, did you have much contact with your grandparents? Did you know them much, or?
Later years, I did. Yes.
Really? Mm-hmm. What were they?
Because
like?
I know we used to go to Hillsboro, Kansas, to see my folks. That was when we was in Texas. And we'd go it's cold. They didn't have heaters in the car in those days, so we had a big blanket out in the back. Kids was out in the back seat, and we had the big blanket. It was all covered up.
Did you guys ever get in trouble going across there?
No, You
guys were good kids, and
good kids,
no threats of falling over the side of the road.
No, No, you know what? That was one thing that when my dad said sit, I sit. I sat.